And group number 4, we're going to give you a little bit different test. 15 minutes over with these guys, humming and dealing with your visual imagery, and then 15 minutes of repeating it on the court through actions. Now, I can't make this up, but it's wonderfully instructive, because what you found is when the group number 1 came back for the second test, their free flow skills were very much the same as they were in the baseline. Why not? Because they just 30 minutes ago did exactly the same thing. The group with visual imagery actually did improve, albeit I think it's 5 to 7% improvement by having practiced and thought it through. The group that actually practiced was better by 10 to 12%, so that really does prove practice makes perfect. And yes, lo and behold, the story wouldn't have any value to you at all. The group that did both the practice and the visual imagery was up by 20%. That's not a lot maybe, but it actually is, because these are people who actually know what they're doing. These are not just people off the street. So the point would be that if you have the ability to do it and the ability to believe it's possible at its highest level of caliber of performance, it might just affect the outcome. So Coach K said, I always won in my imagination. I always hit the game-winning shot, or I hit the free throw. And if I missed, there was a lane violation, and I got another try. So in your own dreams, baby, you can win anytime you want. But here's a guy who simply could not imagine not winning. And I'm giving him this benefit because he wins more than anyone else. So here we are, July 28th, 2010. It's halftime. We have the facts. We have the opportunity to do something about it. And I'm asking you to visually image for this great community, for this great city, an amazing outcome. Because it is actually possible that it could change what happens because of our actions being different as we walk out of here today. So I had the pleasure of speaking in a setting not quite as august as this in the last couple of months in the cities of Phoenix and Las Vegas and in my own hometown, Minneapolis. And I was struck by a couple of things. But one is, and I think you guys fit right into this, so I'm going to give it to you. Do you know what a burning platform looks like? Go to Phoenix. Go to Las Vegas and sit with the city leaders. There is nobody denying that the world is challenged. When your housing stock is, years forward, when your unemployment is in the teens, when you've got opportunities that are breaking apart around you in cities that were growing so quickly and then all of it stopped. A burning platform creates sense of urgency and creates impassioned business leaders because it's so desperate that there's no way we're not going to take action. So we're going to go for it. And you compare it to cities maybe like Minneapolis, where we typically have this wonderful benefit of being recognized in so many categories for being this great community, and it is. But I worry, and I was talking to Sandy about this, I worry that we have a sense of urgency need because some of the most important things we'll do in this community will show up in a generation later. And should we become complacent or lose our focus on sense of urgency, we'll fall behind. So where do you all fit in? Where's your burning platform? Where is your sense that we cannot not make substantial paradigm shifts to get to the future? Where do you lay on that? Individually and collectively. I had the pleasure of meeting with your mayor a few minutes ago, and I like him. I like a lot of things he said, not the least of which he believes in sustainability. That was his key message. And not green initiative sustainability. Basically, in my words, teach a man to fish. Give them the benefit of being able to take that information, that knowledge, that stimulus, and grow from it. Where's your burning platform? Do you all realize that some of the actions you're going to take in this community in the next couple of years, sadly, will not show up as immediate benefits in the years that follow? They may show up 10 years from now, 15 and 20. Some of the best cities in America are benefiting from generation ago decisions made by courageous people when the paradigm shifted, and we benefit from those. What I'm saying to you is maybe your vision for a long-term recovery for this country and for Cleveland should be reconsidered over what time period. It's also a bit selfless. You have to do things sometimes that aren't exactly aligned with all of your constituents. I, for one, have a company that has 62,000 employees. 1,200 of them work over in Europe, doing business for the business we do in Europe. But I declared at my shareholder meeting a few months ago that as a patriot, nothing more, not a financial steward, any kind of a guy who's got any more insight, I'm not going to move jobs out of America for any business that we do in America. That's just the way it rolls. And that's the right thing to do because it's right for our company, it's right for America, and maybe a shareholder may be bothered by that because I might cheat the ability to save a little bit of money by having a call center somewhere else for a call brought out from Cleveland. Well, I'm not going to do it. So you got to do sometimes the things that aren't exactly popular, but when you're vested with the responsibility as a leader to change the future, it's your responsibility to find the burning platform. So now it is halftime. And you can go back out and play the same game, or you can make some adjustments and make some pretty impressive ones, as I think. Because remember, the win is dictated by the person that believes the most. And I have no reason to think you won't believe the most. So as I close, and I won't go much longer, there's this great basketball finding that I had a long time ago as a Californian born and raised. Do you know about the Lou Alcindor rule? The rule that was created about Lou Alcindor. In 1967, this young man named Lou Alcindor was a great basketball player. He played for UCLA. He was so amazing at making dunk shots that the NCAA created the new no dunk shot rule. Did you know this? He was so good at it that they thought no one else could be so good. It was an unfair advantage, so they created the rule of no dunks. You guys, you can't have any no dunking rules in Northeast Ohio. Watch for them. They lurk everywhere. They usually show up as provincial, but well-intended, old-fashioned, but friendly, relationships that seem to transpire more for the selfish benefit of the parties involved than the parties they represent. Be very careful about the no-dunk rule, because it masks as a protectionism aspect of keeping the status quo. And were I speaking to you in 2005, when the world as we knew it was on fire in a good way, there'd be an argument to say, don't mess with it, leave it alone and let it roll. But where I'm talking to you in 2010, when the global economy and the domestic economy are in great dire positions, and we need to make some changes. So call it the burning platform, call it the no-dunk rule. Just call it and find it, and don't let it creep in. And then you've got to change what you believe in. You've got to allow things to happen that you didn't think were possible before. Jumping out of basketball for a minute with your permission, I'll stay in the sports field. But at the U.S. Bank, we spend a lot of time talking about beliefs. And one of the things we do is keep checking ourselves of whether or not we're bringing old paradigms to the discussion. And so we often talk about this one wonderful story that happened on May 6th of 1954. And you may know it if you're in the sports, track and field sports category. But on May 6th of 1954, do you know what happened? Anybody? 4-minute mile. Right, Roger Bannister. So do you know how the story goes? Oh, that's so not interesting. Here's what's interesting about it is Roger Bannister breaks through the tape on May 6, 1954, over in the UK. And as he breaks through the tape, he is surrounded immediately, go and look this up, immediately by all the other runners. And to his own admission was, wow, this is super unusual. I mean, I beat you and you're congratulating me. Sweet. And he's like, what's wrong? And they pointed up to the clock. And it showed 3:59.7. Even before he knew it, they knew it. And they were surrounding him, congratulating him, because lest you know, and some of us are old enough to be in that same time period, you need to know this. It was believed at that point in life to be physically impossible for a human being to break 4 minutes. It wasn't a goal, it was believed impossible. So here's this guy, unwittingly, at first disbelievingly, passes through the 4-minute mark with great accolades from all those people. That is a cool story. Way cooler part of the story is, in the 365 days that followed May 6th of 1954, 288 people around the globe broke the 4-minute barrier. Now that's the belief piece, right? Because even the guy who did it didn't do it because he thought he could. He did it and didn't believe he did. And so the people who got permission to break that barrier by a fellow who accidentally did it changed their paradigm. All of a sudden, the very next day, somebody must have said, wait a minute, it's not impossible, I'm on it. And so we sometimes need the evidence to believe it's possible. But the reason I bring this into my short talk here is because we're not going to get that benefit this time. We're not going to be able to see, what if we do this? Will it look good? What if we do this? Will it look good? What will 2012 look like if we take these actions? You're not going to get that benefit. You're going to have to work together and decide, if I take this action, is it at least a higher likelihood of success for our community than if I take none? Or if I have a choice of options, let me get a few people around the table, let's work together on this solution.